Pim.
Cleary.
Welcome to Business
Thank you.
Insider. It's a place in Milestone Bellanova. Now
Yeah.
I'm nervous, which is really annoying. You see. A relatively new business on the coast, and we'll talk about your association with the best news and information service on the coast, that being Business Insider, a little later. But you've been working in this space of...
I've been working in this space for 15 or so years, actually more than that. My early days were in the corporate world with the Commonwealth Bank. I joined their graduate program and worked predominantly in administration, writing training programs back in the dinosaur age, pre-internet, and
But always working with words.
always working with words. Yeah, I mean, I did linguistics and foreign language at university, so while it's a little deviated from that, it's still been working with words, and that's my passion.
And you brought that to Away with Words, the business?
Yes.
Formally, when did that start?
Formally 4 years ago, informally quite a bit longer than that. When I left the Commonwealth Bank, I did a diploma in with the College of Journalism in proofreading and editing and professional writing, and it kind of started slowly while I was raising my family. And the first step in the door was actually with Lee Woodward from Real Estate Academy. I happened by chance to meet him, and we got talking. He needed a professional writer, so we got working together. So the real estate space really gave me my first break.
And you continue to work in there?
I do continue to work with him. In fact, since those days, I've written 2 books with him. We've just completed a second one. I'm just about to start a third, and a lot of other
So do you
writing with
do
him
that
also.
book writing, or is it ghost writing, or does your name appear on there with him?
My
or?
name is credited as editor.
Right, okay.
It is more ghost writing. I work from audio transcript and produce a book from that. But I write in my client's voice. So that's the skill as a writer, to not write in your own voice, but to write in your client's voice and to your client's clients, of course.
So, and here's part of my interview with you about continuing development of Business Insider. You do write articles for Business Insider. Do you find, that's a different sort of a challenge then, isn't it? Because that's a news story.
It is a different challenge. When I first started with Business Insider back in the first days of the site, it was very much thrown in the deep end. My very first project was to interview the 12 candidates during the state elections here, so that was quite a challenge. But I love it. I absolutely love it. I've learnt so much about business on the coast, about
and dealing
politics.
with incredibly difficult bosses. So we'll move on from there.
Well, we won't talk about that.
Best not.
But always learning, and research is a big part of it. In fact, the research behind it takes a lot longer than the writing itself. You can't just rely on one site on Google and think that's the fact. You've got to check and double check.
But that's your...
because it's a real responsibility. You're reporting news.
Indeed. You're back to your business now, Away with Words. Where are the opportunities? What do you see changing in the next 12 months, say?
You raised a question to me about the new economy and how that affects this type of space. I guess some people say print is dead or dying, but in actual fact, the new economy, or the way that with multimedia, etc., it's opened up this space far more because it makes the messages more immediate, more widespread. Back in the day, you'd have to travel the country to do your needs analysis, or everything was a lot slower. Now the message will always be needed. It's just the medium that it's delivered on that changes.
And so there is a massive need for content, better than most.
There is a massive need. It does need to change to reflect the medium that it's delivered on, particularly when you're delivering a message over the internet, less is more without a doubt. If you haven't got your audience at the headline, you've lost them, you may as well forget it. So it changes in that regard, but as long as there's a message to deliver, there'll be a need for my service. So I feel very secure.
Yes.
Yeah.
You should. We need you more. The opportunities, I guess, are there in that content development, but that puts pressure on your lifestyle and your balance. Do you have a plan around that, Fedra?
I do, and this is an area that I'm quite passionate about. I believe that absolutely there is work-life balance, but you have to make it happen. You have to make sacrifices to make it happen, and generally that sacrifice is in income. But it's a sacrifice that I'm happy to make while my children are still, young enough to want me around.
Which is, yes.
And need me, and also for myself. And it's a choice. And that's the beauty of working for yourself, is that it gives you choice.
So will away with words always just be Fedra?
It's difficult to say. Where I'm going at the moment is more collaboration, and that's one of the strategies that I'm taking, because the challenge in a business like mine is it is just me and my computer. So there's only so much you can do by yourself. So that limits, where you can go in your business. But I see opportunities in collaborating with others in my space, and there aren't many of us, which is nice. But I have made a good connection recently, and we will be collaborating with one another. For example, I might write something, but it's always better to have somebody else, particular books, say, proofread the work that you do, because you'll always miss things in that, when it's that lengthy. So we will share with one another on that type of thing, and that's where
it is a cooperative environment we live in.
Yeah, and you could see others in your space as competitors, but I have chosen to take it on this more collaborative view, and I think that there's so many opportunities for people in the creative industry space, such as we're in, that there is no need to feel threatened, and that it's better to go this way, and it's working so far. So,
that's good. That's good. We now have the opportunity to listen to your rant.
Okay.
And what would you want us to change, other than your bosses at Business Insider? It's not to be a personal request.
I can't do that one. Mine is similar to the question on work-life balance. It is along the lines of the way people judge other people's success. Too many people judge success by how many hours you work. The longer you work, the more successful you are, and how much money you make. But the way I see success is how happy, how healthy you are. If your business is following the values that you place on your life, because that's what we're doing. That's what I'm here for. Whether you have a great relationship with your children, your partner, and let's face it, we live on the Central Coast. I'll leave the fancy overseas holidays until later when my children are more grown up. But look where we live,
Enjoy that.
Every day I'm thankful to live and work on the coast. Yeah.
So that is work-life balance.
That is work-life balance.
Yeah.
And you have to make it happen.
Do you think people sometimes make the mistake of assuming that it just happens around them?
Yes, I do. But I also think that people make the mistake of thinking that they're being slack if they make it happen. To feel guilty for some reason if they finish at 3 o'clock on a Tuesday to pick their kids up from the bus stop. I used to myself, and I'd make excuses for it, but I don't anymore, and I'm happy to openly here tell the world that that's what I do, and that's a choice. And my work doesn't sacrifice for that, you know.
It does require a level of planning and discipline.
It does. I mean, some nights I will wait till my kids are in bed at 9 o'clock and I'll come back to my work quite frequently, actually. But running a business, I have the freedom to do that. You know, if you're working for someone or, you know, travelling up and down the freeway, you don't have that freedom. And I think too many are stuck in that rut of living to work rather than working to live.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. And some of us have a longboard that we sometimes use.
Yes.
And people
Yes.
know me when I'm on. There's excess weight here, so it's not me. Do you use your longboard enough?
Never enough. But yes, yeah, I do. I live the dream.
Yeah. Your path has been very specific. You've chosen your courses well.
Yes.
And I would think, I don't know a lot of people who start university courses and then change.
Yeah.
What sort of advice would you give to, I guess, people who are going through a degree in arts and literacy to plan their future? Because it is...
I think there's a little bit of both. There's a little bit of plan and structure to it, but there's also a little bit of see where the path takes you. And
so that's being flexible, though, isn't it?
That's being flexible, and that has happened in my life. It's a balance between the two. I would say to others to follow your heart and what you're passionate about, even if that means, you know, you're only doing arts at university. It's amazing that what doors can open up for you.
But you can be confronted by a door and not go through it, can't you?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is there enough, do you think...
I think it's the confidence to know when to say no, and vice versa, to when to say yes. Yeah, so...
Is that because we think we know more about what's behind that door than we actually know? We don't do enough research? Or am I over...
Possibly. I mean, one of the things that goes with my business is, with what I do is intense research. So yeah, I do.
That's a natural part of your...
It is a natural part, you know.
Yeah.
Yes, I get in trouble at times for picking the eyes out of other people's work. It's just a matter of habit, of trade. Yeah.
You have got an extraordinary background, and you have got, I think, an exceptional view on life. And at that point, is there time at the moment to share that with people coming through, or you're sharing it with your children, obviously? So that's an important part of all
yes.
this.
And I definitely share that with my children. One of them in particular has the creative gene, has received that from me. So I would like to steer her along that path, and this is a great area to be in. It is behind the scenes, but it's all about connecting, and there will always be a need for that, and about telling stories. And those of us in that creative space have that ability to share other people's stories. Everybody has a story to tell, and it's what is uniquely yours. People talk about point of difference in business, and it's all about the client, don't talk about yourself. But people actually, without saying, we have this 25-year background and, all the sort of the more corporate type of stuff, people want to know the story behind even a business person. Because people want to deal with people that they connect with and people that they like. So it is a valuable point of difference that people should share.
We are our most valuable point of difference in anything, whether it be business or personal life.
Yes.
You have made a conscious effort that I've seen over the last 12, 18 months to network. Has that always been part of your approach to business, and do you see it continuing?
It hasn't always been, to be honest, and it took me out of my comfort zone to start with. But it was an important step to take to get out of that comfort zone.
Was it real fear?
It was because I had a little bit of I guess working in a home office with just my computer. You're very much behind the scenes, so and a little isolated, I guess, in that regard. So to network has been very, very beneficial for me, and I would highly recommend it to anyone who's out there, particularly the micro business owner and the small business owner who's...
And who do you see as viable, I guess, locations for that networking? Who do you network with?
I have joined the WildFig Service Alliance, which has been... my path to WildFig was a little different to others. I was actually engaged as the group's journalist to begin with, and about a year later I was invited to join as a representative as a journalist and copywriter. So which it's been valuable for me, and it's actually what led me to Business Insider. Through it I met Bob, it's just those connections, it's making those connections. Networking is such a big part of being in business on the Central Coast or in any region, I would imagine. I think still to this day word of mouth is the best form of the best testimonial.
Fedra Pym, I'll thank you again.
Thank you.